Okay, I want you to picture this. It's daybreak over the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's a quiet, two-lane road winding its way through Southern Virginia. And on that road, there's a single van, just humming along, cutting through the morning mist. Now that van, it represents something so simple, but at the same time so incredibly profound. It's a lifeline. So let's dig into what that really means.
You know, for millions of Americans, especially in rural parts of the country, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's their daily reality. And that simple fact is really the heart of our story today. How the physical distance between you and a doctor can become the single biggest barrier to staying healthy.
So we're setting our scene in rural Appalachia. And here, hospitals and specialists, well, they aren't just around the corner. A routine medical visit can mean a long, really challenging journey. It turns something that should be simple prevention into a major logistical headache.
And this right here, this is the direct human cost of that distance. This isn't about inconvenience. We're talking about life and death. People miss critical dialysis treatments. They skip preventative cancer screenings. They put off checkups until a small problem blows up into a full-blown crisis. It creates this kind of isolation that's about so much more than just the mountains around you.
But this isn't just a story about one little corner of Virginia. No way. This is a huge, nationwide issue. So let's switch gears and look at the hard data, because the numbers really tell the story, particularly when it comes to older Americans. Just take a look at this. According to a 2024 survey on aging, a staggering 64% of seniors say the #1 reason they skip medical care is a lack of transportation. Think about that. It's not the cost, it's not being afraid of the doctor, it's simply not being able to get there. That is a massive but solvable problem. And then when you layer this on top of it, that 1 in 5 Americans over the age of 65 doesn't drive anymore, you start to see this quiet crisis unfolding on back roads and in small towns all across the country.
But in Coburn, Virginia, 2 people saw this exact gap, and they didn't see an obstacle. They saw a calling. And this is where we meet Eddie and Kimberly Kaiser, the founders of KDK Transport, who just decided their neighbors deserved a whole lot better.
Their growth tells such an incredible story. Back in 2019, they started with the absolute basics, 1 van and 1 employee. That was it. But they had this powerful belief that nobody should have to choose between their health and their zip code. And wow, that idea fueled some incredible growth. Today, they're not just a company, they're a regional lifeline.
So what does that growth actually look like on the ground? A regional lifeline sounds great, but let's break down the real impact, because the numbers are honestly just as powerful as the story. First up, just the sheer volume of it all. KDK now provides around 1,200 rides every single week. That is 1,200 connections to care, 1,200 moments where distance didn't get to win. And next, think about the community impact. The company supports 118 employees. That means stable jobs with money getting invested right back into the local economy. So you see, it's not just a healthcare solution, it's become an economic engine. And finally, this is so important, reliability. They have an average on-time rate of over 97%. So this service isn't just available, it's dependable. And that builds a foundation of trust that is absolutely essential when you're talking about healthcare. And this quote from the Kizzers just grounds all those numbers, doesn't it? It shows that their mission was always about the big picture, lifting up the entire community, from the passengers in the back seat to the drivers behind the wheel.
And all that trust they built? Well, it led to an even greater responsibility. The Kiesers now also run ProMed Ambulance Company, which is the primary 911 provider for their area. So they've gone from non-emergency rides to handling life or death situations. They've truly become an indispensable part of the community's safety net.
So let's zoom out for a second. Why does a story about a transportation company in rural Virginia matter to all of us? Well, because it's about so much more than just logging miles on a map.
What KDK Transport provides is really a blueprint for changing the entire healthcare equation. It helps people focus on prevention instead of crisis, it creates jobs with dignity, and maybe most importantly, it's this powerful argument against the idea that some problems are just too big or too remote to solve. It proves that rural doesn't mean impossible. At the end of the day, the Kaisers started with 1 van and 1 simple belief. And in the process, they didn't just help their community, they created a model for completely redrawing the map of healthcare access. It really makes you wonder, right? If we can solve the problem of distance,
What other seemingly impossible barriers can we overcome next?